So I'm Caoilfhionn van Walt. I'm the founder of Regan Van Roy, and today I am going to answer some questions that I've been sent from a group of young women entrepreneurs about my entrepreneurial journey, such as it is. I'm here in my garden after gym, so excuse my appearance. So my first question is, what inspired me to start Regan Van Roy in 2016? Well, two things. Firstly, I thought there was room for a different type of consulting firm, one that combined the technical excellence of the big four firms, the big four accounting firms where I had started my career, but also that was able to be much more responsive and give very clear answers, and also to give practical input as well. I do still believe that the big four accounting firms, because they also have the audit element, that there's so many conflict issues that it's sometimes hard for them to give kind of strong advice that's needed. So we thought there was a gap for responsive, practical, very business focused advice given from people who had worked not just in consulting but also in the real world of business. That was the first thing. The other thing that inspired me was Africa. When I set up Regan Van Roy in 2016, I had been working across Africa for about 10 years, and I really saw that it was hard to get good advisors, and they were very expensive and they were very slow. And often in Africa, it's difficult. The tax law is just very difficult and often very unclear. So you really need an advisor who will give you strong, solid advice. So we thought, one, there's a need for a different type of advisor that's very quick, gives clear answers, not just opinions, and doesn't have to worry about audit conflict. And two, an advisor that can partner with you all across Africa. So the question is, what was the vision I had when the company first started and how has it evolved? So that was the vision, different type of consulting firm and Africa focused. How it has evolved, I think, is one way it has evolved is we have developed a niche in privately owned businesses. So before I started Regan Van Roy, I knew nothing about privately owned businesses. I'd only worked in large listed corporations, not listed, but very large corporations, Arthur Andersen, Deloitte, and then Sasol, which was a listed company. And at Andersen and Deloitte, all of my clients had been listed businesses, so I never thought about privately owned businesses, and if I ever thought of them, I would have thought disparagingly, like it's the greengrocer on the corner. But we believe that privately owned businesses are make up the economy, really, especially in Africa, where we have a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of multi-generational family businesses that really are the mainstay of the economy. So we believe that tax authorities often don't think about privately owned businesses, and we believe that sometimes the larger firms don't fully consider privately owned businesses. And we think that privately owned businesses have very unique challenges but also opportunities. So from a challenge perspective, often there's issues with especially if it's a multi-generational family business, succession planning, inheritance planning. What if one of the kids emigrates? What if one of the kids wants to leave the business? And also we don't need to think about just the corporate tax. We also need to think about the tax back to the shareholders, and what if someone dies, what if you dispose of the business, how are the dividends taxed, all of that. So we have developed a niche in that area, which I'd never even thought about before I started Regan Van Roy. And also, I think our vision is, I have certainly become very passionate about how hard life is for people who work in multinationals in in-house tax. And I think their jobs are getting bigger and scarier and with more risk, and generally they have less understanding or budget and smaller teams. So we have really been trying to work smartly to come up with solutions to help people who are sitting in heads of tax or tax manager roles in multinationals. So that's two ways in which the vision has evolved. Next question is, what were some of the key challenges I faced in the early days of the business? Well, I never intended to set up a big business. I basically just intended to consult on my own initially. So I sort of ambled along quite peacefully. I didn't have an office. We were actually, even when we hired people initially, they were affiliates or consultants, so no fixed costs. We never have had a full-time office. We've always been a virtual team. We were early adopters of Zoom before COVID. So actually, I would say we didn't have many challenges in the beginning because I started very small and I didn't have a big vision. It was probably only a couple of years in where I started to think, oh, this actually is something I can turn into a proper business, and I tried to scale and expand. Then it got challenging, but in the early days it wasn't challenging because my ambitions were quite limited. Next question, how did my previous experiences shape my approach to running my own firm? I think as a woman and as a mother, I had seen at first hand how many large corporates, even where they do have good maternity leave or pay lip service to the importance of having women in the workplace, I have seen that when parents, let's say, want to kind of, I talk about the maternity plateau. So I had 5 children in 5 years, and after that kind of just wanted to chill a bit with my, not chill a bit with my work, but I didn't want to push. I wanted to sort of plateau for a couple of years while I had lots going on at home. And I've seen that in the world, that is often seen as the woman sort of not having any interest in her career. And I've always been, while I have generally been very lucky in my career with some very supportive bosses and infrastructures, but I have seen that in general. So I wanted to create a team where people were able to be very clear about, this is the time I have, these are the days I have, and still be able to work at the top of their game. So I firmly believe that if a person has got other commitments, and we've had people on the team who had religious commitments, or they had artistic endeavours on the side that they wanted to spend time on, or taking care of children or parents, I firmly believe that it is possible to work part-time or in fixed periods, but be at the top of your game. And I don't think that is normal in the industry. And I also strongly believe in working to people's strengths. So finding out, not kind of trying to push people into a square, but finding out what people are good at and what they love. And if there's something they want to be good at, can they get there? Or is there something that they don't want to be good at and they'll never get there? So I really believe in not just trying to make everyone the same, but trying to help people find their own strengths and find a way for that to happen. And I think, and I think my previous experience, when I was in consulting for the first half of my career at Anderson and Deloitte, I really thought we knew everything, and I didn't understand why our clients didn't do exactly what we said. But then I went into the real world at Sasol in business. I quite quickly understood how tax is not the most important thing to almost anyone in the business, and how the right answer is dictated by many different forces within the business, none of which I was aware of as a consultant. So I think my experience working both in consulting and in business really helped me, I think, serve my clients better, because I understand the pressures that they have from a business perspective and the stakeholders that they need to get happy with whatever project we're doing. Next question, what has been my experience as a female founder in a male-dominated industry? Well, generally positive. As I say, I started small, so I certainly didn't intend to be a founder of a large-scale business. I do find that sometimes as a boss, a woman boss, it is harder to give harsh messages or hard feedback. It's not really seen as something a woman should do. But in general, I feel myself very lucky to be a woman in this century, in this decade, and to live in the countries I have lived, to have complete freedom to do what I basically what I want. So one interesting experience in the first years of the firm, we were entirely women. And I was quite surprised to hear that a lot of people would say, oh, if you're an all-woman team, there must be a lot of bitchiness, a lot of politics. And we have rarely found that. We have from time to time, and it's generally been with one or more, just one person who creates a bit of a culture. And I think that can be very dangerous to a small organization. But I found it interesting, the stereotype that if there's a group of women working together, there'll be a lot of bitchiness. In our experience, generally, it's been very supportive, very understanding, no sort of big appendage swinging, no kind of trying to, and I think even now where we have men in the team, it's quite authentic. People aren't trying to play politics or score points off each other. I think we generally have a culture of trying to work together, and a rising tide lifts all ships type mentality. So luckily I've had very few bad experiences as a woman in this industry. What advantages do you think being a woman has brought to your leadership style and business approach? I don't know. I think I think it has been hard for me to be empathetic, and I think I am an empathetic person, and I do kind of try to understand what's going on with people, and I am like that in my team. But then to have tough conversations and say, look, this is not working, this is what we had agreed, and you haven't been able to do it. I do think that it is harder for a woman to deliver those type of messages, and that is sometimes difficult for the people who receive it. But yeah, I don't think that's really. I think that's. I don't know. That's a difficult question. What advice would I give to other women looking to start their own businesses? It is very hard to start your own business. Like I said, I never really intended to start my own business. I sort of started to consult in my own name through a company, and then it just sort of grew. So get some advice from people who've set up their own business, and try and get a good understanding of what it would be like. How do I think the landscape of female founders in the tax and legal industry has changed since I started? Well, I think when we started back in 2016, basically nobody went for advice to a non-Big Four accounting firm or a non-big legal firm. But now there's a lot more boutique firms like ours. It's more normal. So I think that's good. It's not, it's kind of more standard to for clients to go and see smaller firms. You don't necessarily need the Big Four, the big law firm sign off. And I think there is a lot of support out there. So I'm a member of both Entrepreneurial Organisation and Civitas, which are very helpful for founders and business people who are trying to run a business. So yeah, I think it's getting better every day. The market is opening up, and there's a lot of support out there, but it is hard. Questions about the business and the future. What sets Regan Van Roy apart from other international tax advisory firms? Well, we are not an audit firm, which means we can give quite we can give quite firm advice. We don't have any conflicts the way the Big Four accounting firms have. Also, we are a very lean team, so we have about 30 people altogether, but very senior. So 10 of those are ex-Big Four international tax partners. So it's not like the big pyramid you might have at a Big Four where there's one partner and then a whole lot of juniors underneath. If you work with us, you deal with a senior person throughout. one of our slogans is moving your business forward. So we really believe in trying to solve the tax issue as simply as possible. We often talk about demystifying tax, and so that you can forget about it. Most people don't care about tax, they just want the problem fixed. So we understand you don't want us to write a big long thesis on the ins and outs of the particular tax issue you have, but you just want an answer to your problem so you can cross it off your list and get on with your business. So that's our focus. I think we are different to many even smaller firms because we're a properly international tax firm. So we have offices in Ireland, South Africa, which is where we started. We've got offices in Joburg and Cape Town, Mauritius, where I am, beautiful Mauritius, Ireland, the UK, Portugal, and we cover the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. So and we work as one firm. So there isn't another international tax firm that can cover those jurisdictions where you're dealing with the same team of people. If you go to a Big Four, for instance, you have to link in different country offices, so it's quite hard to get clear, holistic advice. But here you would have one team who then brings in experts from the various areas and gives you one set of advice. And I think we're really quick. We know that when you have a tax problem, sometimes you've got the luxury of waiting 6 months or so to get an answer, but where we really can add value is when your CFO has asked you something tricky and you need an answer tomorrow and you just need someone to help you out quickly. So we believe in partnering with our clients and giving them real solutions in real time. So yeah, I think we are quite different to the alternatives out there. What are the most rewarding aspects of running your own firm? Well, as I've said, it is extremely hard. And I think a large part of building a successful business is luck. I do not think you can do all the things right and follow a great plan and whatever, but a lot of it comes down to luck, and it is very, very hard and very stressful and very lonely. However, the rewarding parts are, I wanted to be a poet when I was a young person, probably up until my early 20s. So I'm certainly not a poet now, but I do feel that I'm using my creativity in my work in different ways, in how we approach our clients. And I love editing our newsletters, which I edit every week. And our newsletters are really about trying to demystify tax. Many new tax newsletters out there are so boring. You would want to stick forks into your eyes reading them. Whereas we try to make tax accessible to people who hate tax, but they know they need to know something about it. So I really enjoy that. I really enjoy demystifying tax for people, and I really enjoy having a client who has a real problem that's really stressing them out and might have been stressing them out for years, and then we can come up with a solution so that they can forget about it and move on with their lives and help their business move forward. I also am very passionate about Africa. So I've lived in Kenya, Zambia, South Africa, and now Mauritius. Although I'm Irish, I think of myself as at least half African, and I believe there are huge opportunities in Africa, huge risks and complexities as well, and I love that we can help people work in Africa. And my favorite type of client is an African entrepreneur who wants to either go global or go pan-African, and we can help them do that in a smart, easy way, and reducing all of the risks that can happen with working in Africa. So I really do find that rewarding. I believe we're helping people operate across Africa, and therefore being part of the development of this continent. What are some of the biggest achievements for your company so far? Well, I would say it's seeing some of the people we have in our team who have been with us for years and who have just grown in strength and confidence. And for me, some of those have been young women who've started with us or who joined us from a career where they were feeling frustrated, often because they had kids and then wanted a bit of flexibility and were sort of not treated very seriously. So seeing how some of my now colleagues have really grown and flourished and are flipping kick-ass business leaders and tax experts, for me is hugely rewarding, because some of these people I know were kind of in a cul-de-sac in their career before this. So that's, for me, that's been the most exciting. And working with the people we have, like the partnership that we have with, especially with our senior leadership team, which is Cabrini and Russell and Lance and Vanessa. So I just love that sense of kind of doing something cool together. How do I stay motivated and continue to innovate in my business? That is hard. And for me, meditation is a very big part of my life, and a practice I am continually battling to improve. I do find that that's how I get a lot of energy. But it is hard to keep motivated. I think when I see our people grow, that does motivate me, and when we land like a cool new client or a cool new assignment, I find that quite inspirational. Okay, I have been waffling on for 23 minutes, so I'm going to leave it there. If you've any more questions for me, I would love to answer them. Thank you. Bye.